Okay, now let's continue the lesson. So we have seen so far actually the elementary canal some components. What are the other components present? Let's see this one. This is the diagram showing the digestive system. Starts with mouth in the first segment. Now we have it is followed by the buccal cavity. It is not mentioned. That is, we have the buccal segments 1 to 3. Then the pharynx 4 and 5. Then we have the esophagus 5 to 9. And then the gizzard, 5 to 7. The gizzard 7 to 9. And from 9 to 14 we have the stomach. 9 to 14 the stomach. Gizzard, esophagus, and the pharynx and mouth. And we have the small intestine I mentioned about. A dorsal wall of the endodermal layer pushes into the lumen of the cavity to form the typhloid. Based on the presence of typhloid, whether it is present at the location, we can have 3 different components in this. So segments 15 onwards, we have the intestine. Now we have, there is a typhloid starting from the 27th segment, and based on the presence or absence of typhloid, we can classify the intestine, we can divide the intestine in 3 components. The one which is present before the typhlozoal region, that is called pre-typhlozoal part of intestine, pre-typhlozoal region. That is no typhlozoal, but found before the typhlozoal region. That is from 15 just onwards, we have the intestine. We have the typhlozoal starting from the 27 up to 35. Then beyond 35 segments, it is called, this is the typhlozoal part of intestine, where we have the typhlozoal is formed. Then we have the typhlozoal that is exposed here, the typhlozoal, something just it's not visible properly. And beyond that segment, we can have what is called post-typhlozoal region. Post-typhlozoal region. So, typhlozoal region, and then we have 27 to 35. And before that, we have 15 to 27, we have pre-typhlozoal region. And after 35, we have typhlozoal region present in the intestine. Okay. Now let's see the discussion. Now the intestine is divided into just, I mentioned, pre-typhlozoal region from 15 to 26. Because the intestine starts from 15, after the stomach 14, and now 15 to 26, no typhlozoal. Then from 26 to 35, we have the typhlozoal is present, that is called typhlozoal region, before 26. So we have 15 to 26, though I mentioned 15 to 26, starting from 26, some part. So typhlozoal region between segments 26 to 35. Now, I mentioned already it is characterized by the presence of what is called the internal medial fold, what we discussed already, typhlozoal. It is comparable to the villi. It increases the effective area of absorption, all things I mentioned. Now the post-typhlozoal region starting from the 36. So remember these segments. So we have 15 to 26, pre-typhlozoal region, the region present just before the typhlozoal intestinal region. And from 26 to 35, we have the intestine typhlozoal, hence called typhlozoal region. And after 35, that is, the segments are without what we have typhlozoal present after the typhlozoal region, hence called post-typhlozoal region. So 15 to 26, 26 to 35, and 36 segments onwards till the end, the intestine is called post-typhlozoal region of the intestine. Now the anus is located in the last segment, what I mentioned earlier. It is otherwise called, that one, pygidium. The anus is present, the segment is called. Okay, now, what is the food of earth? So we have, that is the intestine being divided into 3 regions. Region prior to the typhlozoal, region after the typhlozoal. So accordingly, we have pre-typhlozoal region, then typhlozoal region, and then post-typhlozoal region of the intestine. Now the food of earth, I mentioned earlier, it contains the decaying leaves mixed with organic matter along with the soil. So decaying leaves and organic matter, what is called the humus, decaying organic matter, and also that is what we have the soil. The animal is taking in along with the soil only, the decayed organic matter along with the decayed leaves. Now respiration. No specific respiratory system is present in the case of earthworm. The animal respires only through the skin, what is called cutaneous respiration. So exchange of gases takes place mainly through the body wall or the skin. And for exchange, the skin is richly supplied with the blood vessels. Richly supplied with the blood vessels. That is the body wall, I am saying that. So for efficient respiration, exchange of gases, in all animals including the terrestrial animals, we need a moist layer and rich supply of blood vessels. These are the two criteria we needed for exchange of gases. Moist layer, because the gases cannot actually cross across the membrane in a dry form. They can be normally transmitted or transferred by means of diffusion in a soluble state. So anyway, now what is happening? Exchange of gases takes place through the skin or body wall, hence called cutaneous respiration. Now, we have seen already in the case of classification. We have seen already just in the classification, the blood color is red. The blood color is red because of the presence of hemoglobin. But the hemoglobin is not contained in the RBCs, as in the case of other animals, including the vertebrates like humans. It is dissolved in the plasma. That's why it's called as erythrochromorin, a specific name for that one. The hemoglobin is dissolved in the blood plasma, and that one absorbs oxygen from the external atmosphere and gives out carbon dioxide from outside. Okay, now normally hemoglobin is concerned with the absorption of oxygen from the atmosphere, and from the blood normally, or from the coelomic fluid, carbon dioxide diffuses through the body wall to reach the atmosphere. So the hemoglobin dissolved in blood plasma absorbs oxygen from the atmosphere. Now effective exchange of gases can take place only when the skin is moist. I mentioned about it. No medium should be dry for exchange of gases. Exchange of gas is possible only in aqueous medium because the gases are soluble in what is called in water. They should be transported only in soluble form, not in simply in a dry form. So that is why we need a skin that should be always moist. Now there is one question in the question paper. When the skin of earthworm dries, the animal dies. What is it due to? This is the question came in the question paper. When the skin dries, the animal dies. What is it due to? If the skin dries up, exchange of gases does not take place because exchange of gases is possible only through or the lower.
Hello. 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 Are you checking? Hello. 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 Okay.
So sorry for the interruption. Let's continue further. So here if the skin dries up, the animal dies because there is no exchange of gases possible in a dry medium. But in the question paper, the question came like that only. In earthworm, if the skin dries up, the animal dies. What is it due to? So the reason given is a condition what is called asphyxia. Asphyxia. The same condition is also prevalent in the case of human being if you have the dryness of the alveolus in the lungs. So what is the meaning for that one? Suppose for example, we're taking, now this is the body, I am taking that one, this is the body one. Here we have the coelomic fluid. Coelomic fluid, or we can have richly separated what we call the blood vessels. These are all the blood vessels, anything else. Now exchange of gas is possible only through the skin. Oxygen is being taken in and carbon dioxide is being given out. This is what is happening. Carbon dioxide is being given out. It is possible only when you have the medium is wet, that is moist, because of the mucous secretion or the coelomic fluid oozing out. If the skin dries, now there is no entry of oxygen into the blood or into the coelomic fluid. It is somewhat tolerable. But when the skin is dry, there is no exit of carbon dioxide. No entry of oxygen, it is somewhat tolerable by the animal. But if there is no exit of carbon dioxide, that is highly fatal to the organism. So what is happening? Carbon dioxide accumulates in the blood or in the coelomic fluid. This condition is called asphyxia. Accumulation of carbon dioxide in the blood is called asphyxia condition that results in death. So what is happening normally? The carbon dioxide present in the body, which is formed as a result of metabolism, combines with water of the blood or coelomic fluid to form a big acid, carbonic acid, which immediately dissociates to form hydrogen ions plus bicarbonate ions. Now when more and more hydrogen ions are added to the medium will be acidic and the pH falls. That's why the animal dies. This is called asphyxia. Accumulation of carbon dioxide leading to, that is, increase in acidity and decrease of pH, that is in the fluid, either in the blood or in the coelomic fluid, causes the death. And this is called what is known as asphyxia. So if there is no moist layer, there is no exchange of gases possible, carbon dioxide accumulates in the blood or coelomic fluid, leading to the acidity of the fluid because of increased hydrogen ion concentration. The source is only from carbon dioxide. That's why the animal dies. That is called asphyxia. Increase in concentration of carbon dioxide in the plasma. So this is asphyxia condition is nothing but accumulation of carbon dioxide in the tissues, leading to what we have increased acidity and decrease of pH. Now that's about one question. Remember this one. What is asphyxia? It is also possible in the case of human beings too. Now the blood vascular system. Now in the case of earthworm, the circulatory system is of closed type. The first time you see that one, the organism in Annelida developed the closed circulatory system with the red blood. Blood is having hemoglobin dissolved in plasma. So it is a closed type consisting of capillaries, blood vessels and heart. Now we have to divide the circulatory system into two. The arrangement of blood vessels just actually in the first 13 segments, because the arrangement of blood vessels is different in two regions, one up to the 13 segments of one arrangement and after the 13th segment of one arrangement. So prior to the 14th segment, we have the arrangement of blood vessels. What are the types of blood vessels formed? That is, in the first 13 segments, we have the following blood vessels. 1. The longitudinal blood vessels. They are running in longitudinal direction from here to 2. That is what is called up to the 13th segment. Now we have two major blood vessels. One is running dorsally, called dorsal blood vessel. One is running ventrally, called ventral blood vessel. Now the blood vessels arrangement just in the first 13th segment. Then we have to go for the arrangement of blood vessels in the next region or following the 13th segment. So arrangement is different in the first 13, arrangement is different in the next segments onwards. Now the dorsal vessel, this is the largest blood vessel running mid-dorsal. I mentioned already, you can see a mid-dorsal line. The mid-dorsal line is due to the presence of dorsal blood vessel. Running dorsal, we'll show that one, the picture. Then the ventral vessel, running ventral. Then a pair of lateral esophageal vessels. Lateral esophageal vessels running lateral to the esophagus. A pair of lateral esophageal vessels. And also the supraesophageal vessel, that is one. We have dorsal blood vessel, ventral blood vessel, two actually lateral esophageal vessel, and then supraesophageal vessel, that's one, lying over the esophagus. Now you can see that one. Now you have just one, the dorsal vessel running mid-dorsal, the largest one. Then we have just the ventral vessel, this one, the pink color, just what I just making a marking, and that is a ventral vessel. And then we see that one, this one, the lateral. lateral esophageal vessels. And also we have supraesophageal vessel, and actually this is a supraesophageal vessel. So we have the supraesophageal vessel present over the esophagus. Lateral esophageal vessels running parallel to, that is esophagus laterally, a dorsal blood vessel and a ventral blood vessel. So lateral esophageal and supraesophageal vessels. Now let's have some other letters coming back to this one. Now, how can you make the differences? How can you make the differences between the dorsal and ventral blood vessel? So normally the dorsal blood vessels, as mentioned earlier, found in the mid-dorsal line, and then one found in the mid-ventral line. See, the dorsal blood vessels are highly muscular, valvular and highly contracted. Muscular, valvular, highly contracted. Whereas the ventral blood vessels are opposite, non-muscular, non-valvular, non-contracted. So throughout the length of the dorsal blood vessel, internally we have, that is, walls are present. Now about the circulation of blood, up to 13 segments, the dorsal blood vessels are distributing blood vessels. After 13 segments, they are the collecting blood vessels. The dorsal blood vessel up to 13 segment, one function. They are simply distributing blood vessels, and after 13 segment onward, they are the collecting blood vessels. But as per the ventral blood vessel is concerned, so there is no discrimination between the segments. In all segments, it is a distributing blood vessel. In all segments, it is a distributing blood vessel. So after 13 only it is distributed, and afterwards it is a collector. But here all along the length of the animal, now the ventral blood vessel is always distributing vessel. Now in the case of dorsal blood vessel, the blood flows from tail to head region. So here we have the head, tail, that is a posterior to anterior. This is in the forward direction. That is in the case of dorsal blood vessel. Whereas in the case of ventral blood vessel, you could see the blood is always flowing from the head to tail. That is in the backward direction. So forward direction, backward direction. So these are all some of the differences between the dorsal blood vessel and ventral blood vessel. So contractile, muscular and valvular. Opposite, we have non-contractile, non-muscular, non-valvular. After 13 segments, now the dorsal blood vessel is the distributing blood vessel. Afterwards, it is a collecting blood vessel. In all segments, now the ventral blood vessel is a distributor. Now the flow of blood in the dorsal blood vessel is forward direction. And in the case of ventral blood vessel, it is happening, that is in the backward direction. That is from head to, that is the tail region. These are some of the differences we have to make. Now what are hearts? Now the dorsal and ventral blood vessels are connected with a pair of lateral vessels which are highly contracted. So these are all called the hearts, otherwise called as the lateral hearts. So these are all actually rhythmically contractile vessels, not actually a real heart. As these blood vessels are having the ability of highly contracted, they are called as hearts in the case of earthworm. So rhythmically contractile vessels. And normally they connect the dorsal blood vessel with the ventral blood vessel. We have 4 pairs of hearts. Now we have 7 and 9, 12 and 13. 7 and 9, 12 and 13. They are present 7 and 9 and 12 and 13 segments. Now the first 2 pairs of hearts, that is namely the 7 and 9, they are called lateral esophageal hearts. 7 and 9, these contractile vessels are called lateral esophageal hearts because they communicate with both the dorsal and supraesophageal blood vessels. That means they are connecting the dorsal and ventral blood vessels and also supraesophageal vessels. That's why they are called as lateral esophageal vessels. We have a single blood vessel running over the esophagus, what is called supraesophageal. Now these hearts connecting the dorsal blood vessel with the ventral blood vessel and also supraesophageal, hence called esophageal lateral hearts. Then number 12 and 13, the hearts present 12 and 13, they are connecting only the dorsal and ventral blood vessel, hence called lateral hearts. So the lateral esophageal hearts connecting dorsal, ventral and esophageal vessel. That is a supraesophageal vessels. Whereas the ventral one, so whereas you have the 12 and 13, they are connecting only the dorsal and ventral blood vessels, hence called the lateral hearts. So 7 and 9 we have that is called lateral esophageal hearts. 12 and 13 they are called as the hearts. Then anterior lobes. Now two pairs of anterior lobes present in the 10th 11th segment. 10th 11th segments. They are called as the anterior lobes. They connect the lateral esophageal and the supra. So the esophageal blood vessels, namely the lateral esophageal and supraesophageal blood vessels, are connected with the anterior lobes. Now ring vessels. Now which are 12 in number normally, and each of the segments, 12 in number in each of the segments, 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th, altogether 12, 3 in each, the meaning. So there are 12 blood vessels, they are called as ring vessels in the 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th segments, connecting the lateral esophageals with the supraesophageal. So ring vessels are also connected. Now we have the anterior lobes also connected. So anterior lobes are two pairs connecting what we call the supraesophageal and the lateral esophageal. The ring vessels are also connect only the supraesophageal and lateral vessels, but they are 12 in number, present in the 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th segments. So we have the ring vessels, the anterior lobes, we have the dorsal blood vessel, the ventral blood vessel, so we have the lateral hearts, etc. So the lateral hearts, we have actually, the hearts are of two types, lateral esophageal hearts and also the lateral hearts. Generally the hearts, actually the contractile vessels connecting the dorsal and ventral blood vessels. In the case of lateral esophageal hearts, 7 and 9 present in segments, and they are connecting the dorsal vessel, ventral vessel and also the lateral esophageal vessels. Whereas the hearts in the 12th and 13th segment, they are connecting only the dorsal and ventral blood vessels. Then we have anterior lobes, we have two pairs connecting the supraesophageal and lateral esophageal blood vessels. And also we have the ring vessels just joining, they are 12 in number. In each of the segments, 10, 11, 12, 13, connecting the esophageal and supraesophageal vessels. Now these are all different types of blood vessels. So you have to know the one, what we have the blood vessels, what are the different types of blood vessels, you can see that one. Now these are all the anterior lobes, two pairs connecting, you see that one, the esophageal, supraesophageal and lateral esophageal blood vessels, anterior lobes. That's about we have. These are all the lateral esophageal hearts present in, that is segments 12 and 13 and lateral hearts in 7, 9. So the lateral hearts are 7 and 9, connecting only the dorsal and ventral blood vessels. In 12 and 13, they are called lateral esophageal hearts, connecting what we call the supraesophageal blood vessels, along with what we have the ventral blood vessels with the dorsal blood vessel. So 7 and 9 lateral hearts, 12 and 13 lateral esophageal hearts. Now let's go for what we call the anterior lobes, where I mentioned about the ring vessels not in the picture. Now after 13th segment, what is the nature of arrangement of blood vessels? Just behind, that is the arrangement of blood vessels behind the 13th segment. Again we have, with reference to the dorsal and ventral blood vessels, there is no change. We have the dorsal vessel, ventral vessel is running all along the entire length. But with reference to some more vessel, one vessel, what is called subneural vessel, the one which is collecting the blood from what is called the nerve cord as well as the body wall. This is called subneural vessel, collecting blood from the ventral body wall and ventral nerve cord. So along with the dorsal vessel, ventral vessel and subneural vessel. So before that one, before the actually there is the 14th segment and up to 13 segments, we have supraesophageal, lateral esophageal. But here subneural vessels collecting blood from the body wall and the nerve cord. Now what are the commissural vessels? The commissural vessels are nothing but the vessels connecting, some in the form of ring connecting. So connect subneural vessels to the dorsal vessel. So subneural vessel, the one which collects blood, the third one collects blood from what is called the ventral body wall and the nerve cord. Now the subneural vessel is connected to the dorsal blood vessel by means of commissural blood vessels. Commissural blood vessels. Also we have, in addition to subneural vessel, commissural vessels, we have also the dorsal intestinal vessel collecting blood from the intestine. Then the intestinal blood plexus, a capillary network in the wall of the intestine. a capillary network in the wall of the intestine is called what is known as intestinal plexus. The word plexus always refers to network. Okay, now we have the dorsal intestinal vessel from the intestine. Now we have the intestinal blood plexus, all being connected to the dorsal vessel and ventral vessels. Now the collecting blood vessels in this region are one, you see that one, the dorsal blood vessel, the subneural vessel, the dorsal intestinal vessels. So we have the commissural vessels connecting what we call the subneural vessels to the dorsal blood vessel. Then we have the dorsal intestinal vessel, it is a distributor. Then we have also the intestinal plexus. So now, sorry, I made a mistake. The dorsal intestinal vessel, see that one, it is a collecting blood vessel. And we have a plexus formed by what we call the intestinal blood vessels, and that is called intestinal blood plexus. This is nothing but a network of capillaries formed on the wall of the intestine. So anyway, after 13th segment, the collector blood vessels are the dorsal vessel, subneural vessel, and also dorsal intestinal vessel. These three are together called as the collectors in segments after 13. So the arrangement of blood vessels after 13, we have dorsal vessel, we have the ventral vessel, subneural vessel, commissural vessel, and also dorsal intestinal vessel. So out of these one, the collectors are the dorsal vessel, subneural vessel, and also dorsal intestinal vessel. All others are only the distributors formed by the minute branches. Remember that one. Now we have the blood glands. See, there are no red blood corpuscles, but we have the blood cells formed in the blood circulating. And we have some glands are present in the segments 4, 5 and 6. They are called as the follicular tissues, arranged in the form of follicles. That's why they are called as follicular tissues or follicle bodies. So what are blood glands? These are nothing but red colored follicle bodies. They are concerned with the production of the blood cells and also hemoglobin present in segments 4, 5 and 6, where you have just normally the pharyngeal nephridia are present. So what are blood glands? Red colored follicular bodies. What is their function? Concerned with the production of blood cells, not RBCs, blood cells and hemoglobin. And normally they present in segments 4 and 5, 4, 5 and 6, where you have the pharyngeal nephridia present, the mass. So they are present above what we call these pharyngeal nephridia or pharyngeal mass, and are connected to the pharyngeal nephridia, because nephridia are concerned with what we call the collection of waste products. So these glands are found as masses above the pharynx in 4, 5 and 6 segments, where we have the nephridia, namely the pharyngeal nephridia present. Now all these glands are connected to, you see that one, pharyngeal nephridia, to eliminate any excess of waste. Now what is the role I mentioned? Helps in the production of red blood cells. Now the red blood cells, simply we can say the blood corpuscles, because the RBCs are absent, and also concerned with the production of hemoglobin. So they are actually blood corpuscles without hemoglobin, because in the case of earthworm or annelids, the hemoglobin is dissolved in plasma, not found inside RBCs. So we have actually hemoglobin, and the blood cells are produced by the blood glands located in segments 4, 5 and 6, lying above the pharyngeal mass. The pharyngeal mass, what we get the pharyngeal bulb, concerned with the secretion of the enzymes. Now the lymph glands. Now in each segment of the 26th onwards, you can see on the surface of the intestine, the glands are present and they are white in color. They are concerned with the production of the lymphocytes. See, now you have to know about the segment from which the lymph glands are located. From the 26th segment onwards, on the dorsal surface of the intestine, we have whitish glands are present called as lymph glands. Their function is the production of lymphocytes. Now you see that one, the lymph glands. This is formed from the 26th segment onwards, one pair in each, attached to the dorsal wall of the intestine, concerned with the production of the lymphocytes. That is the lymph gland, starting from 26. You have to remember the nature of the segments, normally from where the glands are being started. So they are concerned with the production of lymphocytes. Then the excretory system. So the animal is excreting waste product in the form of urea. So earthworm is a ureotelic animal. Earthworm is a ureotelic animal concerned with the excretion of urea. So this is one question. The waste product of earthworm is urea. Hence earthworm is called ureotelic animals. So excretion is mainly affected by coiled tubular structures, what are called nephridia. So nephridia, the organs of excretion. The organs of excretion in earth. They are simply coiled tubular structures. Now, what is the nature of nephridia? What is the structure of a typical nephridium? And what are the types of nephridia found in earth? So, if you are taking a typical nephridium, the following are the structures present. So, each nephridium is having a ciliated funnel. A typical nephridium means normally we are taking any example, but we don't have a typical nephridium in Fretima. No typical nephridium is found in earthworm, that is Fretima. But we have the typical nephridium, the structure is found in other earthworms. But we have to know what are the structures present in a typical nephridium. So a typical nephridium consists of a ciliated funnel, and that one is called the nephrostome, which normally opens into the coelomic cavity that collects excess fluid from the coelomic chamber. So this is the mouth that opens into the coelomic cavity where you have the coelomic fluid is present. And it is followed by a ciliated canal. So a ciliated nephrostome, that is nothing but the mouth of the nephridium, which opens into the coelomic cavity concerned with the collection of waste. Then we have a ciliated canal for passing the waste products by means of ciliary movement. Normally the waste product is pushed away. Then a long tubular glandular part which is concerned with the secretion. Long tubular glandular part which delivers the waste through the nephridia pore. The opening of the nephridia outside is called nephridia pore. This is called a structure of a typical nephridium. One, the internal opening called the nephrostome, which is ciliated, a funnel-like structure. Then we have a canal, a glandular ciliated canal, and finally a long tubular part, which is normally secreting the waste products into the exterior through an opening, what is called nephridia pore. But typical nephridia are absent in Fretima. So nephridium having this structure is absent. There are three types of nephridia. This is a common structure. You can find other earthworms. That's why they are called as a typical nephridia. But in the case of Fretima, Posma, there are three types of nephridia. They are called septal nephridia, pharyngeal nephridia, and micronephridia. Septal nephridia, micronephridia, and also pharyngeal nephridia. Now septal nephridia. Now they are present on both sides of the intersegmental septa. Suppose this is, for example, this is one segment, this is another segment. Empty. Now here you see that they are present on both sides of the intersegmental septa. Now this is a septum, or this is a septum. They are present in the septal region. So that's why they call us on both the sides of the intersegmental septa of segment 15th to the last segment. 15th to the last segment. And normally they collect the waste products, never open outside, but open into the intestine. Hence called enteronephric nephridia. Now the septal nephridia, for example, this is a septal nephridia having the nephrostome which opens into, this is the intestine, maybe. See, they open into the intestine, hence called enteronephric nephridia, and they have nephrostome, hence called open nephridia. I will show that one. Suppose this is a segment. Now here we have the nephridium, just what we have in the septa, intersegmental septa. Now this is septa. Now they are having the nephrostome. They are arranged here likewise. They are having the nephrostome. This is the nephrostome, the mouth, and then connected to the intestine. And then connected to the intestine. Now they collect the waste product from the coelomic fluid and open into the intestine. They never open outside. As they open into the intestine, they are called enteronephric nephridia. As they have the nephrostome, they are called as open nephridia. If nephrostome, the mouth is present opening internally, then it is called open nephridia. As it opens into the intestine, it is called enteronephric nephridia. Now this is number one septum. So in each interseptum, of what we have the animal, we have the nephrostome which opens into the previous segment, collecting the waste product from the coelomic fluid and open into what we have the intestine, hence called enteronephric nephridia. Now the next one, integumentary nephridia. When compared to this one, so it is normally present from the 15th segment till the end. That is what we call the septum, not before that one. After one we have that's in that part in the glandular thickening, what's called clitellum, where you have 14, 15, 16. Its origin is from the 15th segment till the end. Then we have the micronephric nephridia. They are nothing but actually integumentary nephridia. They are because opening into the exterior through small openings on the skin, hence called integumentary nephridia. They are the smallest of the three types. Now they are attached to the lining of the body wall of the segment 3 to the last, open to the exterior, leaving the first and second segment from third. So you have the septal nephridia from the 15th segment. Now this micronephridia or integumentary nephridia we have starting from the third segment till the end. They open outside by means of nephridia pore, but there is no internal opening, what's called nephrostome. As they open outside, they are called exteronephric nephridia. So enteronephric nephridia, this one exteronephric nephridia, or simply we can say exonephric nephridia. The meaning for that one, they open outside through nephridia pore. And these nephridia are also called closed type. The meaning for closed type, there is no nephrostome. So the first one, septal nephridia, open type, enteronephric nephridia. The second one here, what is called exonephric nephridia, because they open outside and also there is no nephrostome, hence called closed. First one open, this one closed. If nephrostome is present, then we can say what we call that one as open one. If it is absent, then it's called closed one. It comes back this diagram. Now the third type. So now we have, they do not have nephrostome, hence called the closed type I mentioned above. So these micronephridia or integumentary nephridia are found in large numbers in the clitellar region. Hence that area is called forest of nephridia. See, they are found abundant in the clitellar region and are described as forest of nephridia. So when compared to other regions, the amount or the number of this nephridia more in the clitellar region, hence called as a forest of nephridia. Now what is the third type? We have pharyngeal nephridia. We have normally 3 pairs of pharyngeal nephridia found in segments 4, 5 and 6, as in the case of that is the blood glands. Now they are not having any opening, namely the nephrostome, hence called closed nephridia. They also open into the intestine just like the septal nephridia, hence called enteronephric nephridia. So septal nephridia and what we have the pharyngeal nephridia are called enteronephric nephridia because they open into the intestine. But the first one is open type, the second one what I mentioned about the closed type. So pharyngeal nephridia closed type, there is no nephrostome. Septal nephridia open type because of the presence of nephrostome. Whereas the micronephridia, they are exonephric nephridia and closed type. No nephrostome but opens to the exterior. So anyway, we have 3 different types of nephridia found in 3 different places. Now functions of nephridia. So their main function is in order to remove the waste products from the coelomic fluid as well as from the blood. Now the chief nitrogenous waste products in the case of earthworm is urea as mentioned earlier, hence they are called ureotelic animal. This is one question. The waste product in the case of Fretima is urea, the major one, along with the small concentration of ammonia and creatine, As it excretes urea as a major waste product, earthworm is called as ureotelic animal. So remember, this is one question. What is a major waste product? Though we have ammonia and creatine I here mentioned, but only small concentration. So more amount of urea only present. So urea is a major waste product. Hence, Fretima is called ureotelic animal. Okay, remember the types of nephridia. The main function is that one. It maintains the composition of the body fluids along with the elimination of waste products, as in the form of urea. So nearly 40% of the waste product is in the form of urea. The remaining only what we have actually, the other components. Now this is another question, chloropogen cells, where you come across chloropogen cells. Now these are all actually some yellow colored cells, Now they are formed attached to the wall of the intestine. Their main function is collecting the waste products from the coelomic fluid as well as from the blood, and then excreting them or secreting them into the intestine. So they collect nitrogenous waste products from the coelomic fluid and from the blood supplied to the intestine wall, and then putting them either into the intestine or simply dropping in the coelomic fluid. Then they are being captured by the phagocytic cells or the nephridia. Simply they are yellow colored cells concerned with the excretion in what is called earthworm. And they are comparable to the liver of vertebrates. So question, chloropogen cells, specialized cells formed in the case of earthworm fretima along with the nephridia for excretion. They are compared to the liver of vertebrates. Now the nervous system. Now we have the central nervous system as well as the peripheral nervous system, and also we have the autonomous nervous system, what we have the independent nervous system. As a general rule, in the case of animals, we have the central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. But here, the autonomous nervous system is not well defined. Now the central nervous system consists of a so-called brain, what is called a pair of suprapharyngeal ganglia lying above the pharynx and present normally in the segment. You see that one, otherwise called cerebral ganglia in the third segment. Cerebral ganglia, otherwise called as pharyngeal ganglia, lying above the pharynx, hence called suprapharyngeal ganglia, otherwise called as cerebral ganglia in the third segment. And then a pair of subpharyngeal ganglia present below the pharynx. The two being connected by means of circumpharyngeal connective. One suprapharyngeal ganglia, two a pair of subpharyngeal ganglia present in the third segment, that is for the first one, and also the second one below the pharynx, above the pharynx. The two being connected by means of a ring, what is called the commissure, circumpharyngeal connective. That is found on either side of the pharynx in the third and fourth. Okay, so we have the third segment, we have the suprapharyngeal ganglia. Then we have the fourth segment, only subpharyngeal ganglia. They are being connected by means of a ring, extending from what is called actually cerebral ganglia and the subpharyngeal ganglia on either side of the pharynx in the form of a ring. That's why it's called circumpharyngeal connective. Now, the ganglia and the connective form nerve ring around the pharynx. That's why we have what is called So we have this is a one suprapharyngeal ganglia, a pair, and this is what we call subpharyngeal ganglia. The two being connected by means of commissure, a ring. So now through this only we have the pharynx passes. The ring is present just in the form of outer circular structure around the pharynx region. Now the fourth one, a double ventral nerve cord present all along the entire length of what is called the animal. And in each segment there is a segmental ganglia. From each ganglionic mass in each segment there are three pairs of nerves arise. Now a double ventral ganglionic nerve cord. So that is about what we call the central nervous system. We have one suprapharyngeal ganglia, two subpharyngeal ganglia, three circumpharyngeal connective. Now we have the peripheral nervous system includes those nerves arising from the suprapharyngeal ganglia, the subpharyngeal ganglia, and also from the segmental ganglia. So the peripheral nervous system includes, we have 8 to 10 pairs of nerves arise from the what is called the cerebral ganglia or suprapharyngeal ganglia, and also from the circumpharyngeal connective some nerves are arising connected to the anterior parts of the body. So 8 to 10 from the cerebral ganglia. Now from subpharyngeal ganglia, see that one, or from the ganglion present in each segment. You see here the arrangement is given. Now this is cerebral ganglia lying above the pharynx. Then we have, this is what we call subpharyngeal ganglia present below the pharynx. The first one is present in the third segment, the second one is present in the fourth segment. And this is what is called the pharyngeal connective all around the esophagus. So nearly 8 to 10 pairs of nerves are arising from the cerebral ganglia connecting to the various parts of the body anterior. Now in each segment we have a segmental ganglia. From each segmental ganglia 3 pairs of nerves arise. Okay, now the ganglia in each segment gives up 3 pairs of nerves. So the peripheral nervous system includes those nerves arising from the circumpharyngeal connective, suprapharyngeal ganglia, subpharyngeal ganglia and the segmental ganglia. Now the segmental ganglia, we have 3 pairs of nerves arise from each segmental ganglia. So normally in our case we have 3 different types of nerves. Some of the nerves are sensory, carrying information from the receptor organ to the brain. They are called sensory nerves, carrying information from the receptor to the central nervous system. They are called sensory nerves. And we have also motor nerves, carrying information from the central nervous system like brain and spinal cord to the organ, namely the effector organ, to do the action. Some nerves are mixed, carrying both sensory and motor branches, carrying both motor and sensory branches. Now, in our case, the spinal nerve is a mixed nerve. Some of the cranial nerves are mixed nerves. Some of the cranial nerves are purely sensory, some of them are purely motor. So that's about the arrangement of the nerves, either sensory or motor or mixed. Now the spinal nerve is an example for mixed nerve in our case. Likewise, in the case of earthworm, the nerves are of mixed type, carrying both sensory and motor branches to and fro the nervous system. That's why it's called as a mixed type of nerve. The nerve in the case of earthworm is a mixed type. Now the sensory system, that is concerned with what we call the receptor organs. Concerned with the receptor organs. So I will take this one in the next class because of want of time. So till then, goodbye. Thank you.